Hello, viewer. Welcome to today's episode or today's edition of Church Conversations with Pastor Smart. Today, with me in the studio again, we had him some time ago, but then God has availed us this opportunity to host him again. He's Pastor Ayo. Pastor Ayo is a pastor with Winners Chapel, and he's been a wonderful friend over time. Um, and we just thought it wise to have him again. Apart from just being a great friend, he's a great teacher of the word, he's a great lover of God, and a great lover of humanity as well. And also, on popular demand, in the episode we had with him, there was so much demand of we hosting him again. And today we'll be talking about something that I am sure will bless your heart. Pastor, are you welcome
Thank
once
you very
again?
much, sir. I'm grateful to be here. God bless you.
Thank you.
It's nice seeing you again.
Yeah, sure.
Anyway,
Thank you. Thank you. Now, Pastor Ayo,
sir.
today I want us to talk about something that I'm sure a lot of people may have these questions, but probably never had the opportunity to either ask them or stumbled on, answers to some of these questions. And it's simple. Why do you think people fail? A lot of people fail at so many things. But have you ever stopped to ask yourself, why do people fail? In fact, why do others succeed and others fail? Why do you think people fail? Why do people fail?
Okay, well, let me start by saying I am excited at this topic because in the year 2017,
Hmm.
I had a little program for National State Polytechnic in Lafia. And the theme for the program for the graduating student then was, why do people fail where others have succeeded?
Mhm.
And why do people succeed where others have failed?
Wonderful.
Yeah, so for me, actually, I'm writing a book on this same topic.
Wonderful.
But then, so let me just give you just a little bit of it. Why do I think people fail? People fail for several reasons. But first, what is even failure in itself?
Mhm.
The first thing I would like us to understand is that failure does not make you a failure. That you fail does not mean you are a failure. Failure is actually the pathway to success.
Okay.
Every successful person you see today had one part of their life that they once failed. In fact, if you have never failed before, your success is doubtable.
Wow.
Of course, and with due respect to everybody and everyone with their status quo and everything, check the children of the great.
Mm.
They almost didn't fail in anything. That's why they didn't make it to anything.
Wow.
Check everyone who is great today and everyone on their path to greatness. I don't know how God designed it. Is it that it is designed for us to pass through that channel that does not look interesting until we make it? For example, Joseph in the Bible. Joseph had everything he wanted, but if the throne is the goal, you will have to leave that place, that your comfort zone, and suffer a while. Now, that 13 years of his suffering can be counted to be failure. But everything he went through in that 13 years made him who he became when he became the prime minister of Egypt.
Wow.
So, that you fail in an event or in an endeavor does not make you a failure. It's only telling you that if you do not give up, you will still make it to the top.
I see.
Another example, the life of Jesus. Jesus was in heaven, the highest of all the enjoyment you can ever think of. If the goal is redemption, you will have to leave that throne in heaven and come back to this earth. Number one, he was born into the family that is not well to do, so they could not afford a hospital. He had to be given birth to in a manger.
A manger.
Let's bring manger to our 21st century explanation. In a farmhouse, stinking, smelling. That's where our Savior was born. Sir, our Savior was born Jesus, a poultry house.
Yeah. Yeah.
So chances are excellent that he might even catch a disease.
True.
But God kept him. He now had to learn carpentry through his earthly father. And you can't learn that kind of job and not get injured.
Yeah.
Somebody who created everything had to be injured. We are just assuming because the Bible didn't document that he actually, but we knew he was a diligent person.
Of course.
And then gradually till 30. So 30 years of Jesus' life was full of failure because there was nothing good about him. In fact, the book of Isaiah said there was nothing comely about him until his appointed time came. So failure is not failure until you give up.
Wow.
When anybody gives up on any aspect of your life, then you have failed.
Wonderful. So failure is not failure until you give up. As long as you are still pressing on, you're not a failure.
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. But can someone fail at something and yet fulfill God's purpose?
Can someone fail? Let's bring it to ministry now. Can I fail in ministry and still fulfill God's purpose? Yes. Now, I want us to see this from this perspective. The purpose of God is eternal. The plans of achieving the purpose varies depending on the individual.
Okay.
For example, in Isaiah chapter 9, a prophecy was given that a virgin, not Mary, a virgin. Mary was not the only qualified virgin at that time, but Mary was the one who permits the will of God to be done. So, if, for example, I'm called into full-time ministry, let's say in my work with God and my work in managing people, let's say I mistakenly fall into a sin that landed me in prison. Have I failed as a pastor? Of course, yes. But from God's perspective, have I failed? No. He will only design my audience to be different.
I see.
My audience now, instead of being church people, will be prisoners. So now I have come to the level of the prisoners to understand how they live day to day. So the message I will package for them will now suit that condition. So when the prisoners now become, when they become ex-convicts by the out of the prison, they will remember the messages. By the way, Apostle Paul wrote lots of letters from the prison. So did he fail?
No.
He still fulfilled it. When we finally say we fail is when we give up on God's eternal purpose for our life. That's when we have failed heaven. When we have failed. Let me give us another example.
Okay.
Let me give us another example. How about a very anointed man of God that failed in marriage, but is still preaching? An aspect of his life has gone down the drain. Does that mean he has failed God? Maybe not. But that aspect of his marriage actually failed. Now, when God heals him from that whole marriage trauma and the rest, his message on relationship and marriage will be absolutely different. Isaiah chapter 48, I guess, Isaiah 48 verse 10, he said, I have called you not with silver and with gold. I have refined you from the furnace of affliction. The furnace of afflictions are the things we failed in that becomes our message at the long run.
See.
Yes, sir.
Now, two things. Is there a difference between failing God or failing yourself? Because you could feel like you have failed yourself, but in God's perspective, you are on track. But to you, you feel you have failed. So, is it a matter of perspective, or you could actually fail yourself, but be okay with God? And then, secondly, I've had a lot of people say that when God calls you and gives you an assignment, it has a location. Your assignment has a
It's
location.
geographical, yeah.
It has a demograph. Um, what if the analogy you gave, if I am sent to probably Abuja, and like you said, uh, by virtue of one thing or the other, I am imprisoned and probably imprisoned in Kirikiri, Lagos. And then I began to preach to the prisoners. Wouldn't it be a shift of the location as to God's purpose for my life? Or probably I didn't hear God well. I was actually supposed to be preaching in the prison, preaching in the prison. And if I was to be preaching in the prison, why did God allow me to go through all of this just to find myself in prison so I can preach?
Okay, let me start from this issue of location and
Right.
purpose, right?
Yeah.
The truth is, our assignment in life is geographical based. But then the reason why it's geographical based is because of the people we are sent to.
Okay.
So what if the people we are sent to suddenly relocate?
Mm.
Now you have taught them, they've grown, and they felt this environment is too small for me. Let me relocate. What will happen to the person that was sent there? He will have to relocate because the people you are sent to are no longer there.
Okay.
So here's it. For Joseph, his assignment was in Egypt while he was in Israel. It's never going to work that way. So he needs to relocate.
So if he had to go through prison to get to where God has sent him, he would.
He will have to go through it. Now, not everybody will have to go through prison. Yeah, I won't mention some certain names, but I've known of men of God who traveled abroad, before they became men of God, they were just ordinary people who went abroad, studied, went into drugs, and they were deported back to Nigeria.
Only
And
to start a ministry.
Only to start a ministry. And now their ministry is based on treating those who are drug addicts.
See.
Now, would you say there was actually a shift in their destiny? No. But like the scripture we quoted earlier, Isaiah 48 verse 10, the path that you will have to go through, right? Only God designs it.
Wonderful.
If I make mistake, right, in the design of God, the purpose remain, the plan will shift.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's go back to the part, that first question of if I fail God or I fail myself, do I still fail God? The concept of me failing myself is actually a perspective because I have set a standard for myself. Okay. Now, sir, we went through school, right?
Yeah.
I want to bring your mind back to maybe our year 1 or year 2 in school. When we write assignment or write a test, and then the lecturer decides to just grade us by just writing 15 and cycled it. There is no over whatever it is. The normal mindset for us is to start looking for who has the highest.
Yeah.
So that you use the highest to measure the standard.
Yeah.
Now you see it. So if you keep checking and find out that you are actually the highest, so you can brag on the highest until the lecturer say, sorry, I made a mistake. Is actually, let's say the highest got 15, and I say the standard is 40 marks. Now, are you the highest? Yes.
Yes.
Did you actually pass? No. The concept of failing myself is because there is a standard somewhere that may not be good.
Wonderful.
Men set standard. If you set a standard for me and I did not meet it, I will feel I failed. But the most standard we should even check out is the standard God has placed. Let me give us another example. How about playing basketball in your house? You have a basketball court in your house that is 6 feet tall. And you've been playing for years, you can start potting balls from every corner. In fact, from your bedroom, you can throw the ball and it enters the basket.
Yeah.
Until the day you now step into the original standard of a basketball court and find out that it's actually 9 feet tall. That 9 feet, I hope you will not be able to pot one game. Because you have been confined within your own standard, not knowing the original standard.
Yeah.
So what we should be scared of failing is failing the standard of God. How about a man of God who wins 1,000 souls and the expectation from heaven is 1 million? 1,000 in the eyes of a man, you have passed.
Yeah.
But in the eyes of God, you are just starting.
Yeah.
Let me say this. the greatest killer of success is the last success.
Hmm.
Many people stop growing after they achieve a level of success.
Wow.
And that's what God does not want for us. So, Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 11, he said, he made all things beautiful in his time. The other part now said, he planted eternity in the heart of man, so that man do not know the works of God from beginning to the end. Let me tell you now, the eternity dimension that is placed in man is to bring us to the place of hunger for more achievement. So when you achieve something, eternity dimension will draw you and tell you there is still more.
There's still more.
So that the moment a man loses hunger for more, he's dying.
Wow.
Yes, sir. So the failure really is failing God and failing the expectation of heaven, not failing yourself.
Not
if you fail
failing
yourself, you can pick up yourself again and start all over again. But if you fail God, you really failed.
Wonderful.
Yes, sir.
So, viewer, you heard, if you fail God, you've really failed. Which means that only God determines whether you have failed or you have passed or succeeded. I don't know. If you have questions regarding to this discussion we're having today, this very topic, you can talk to us. You can drop it in the comment section. I am sure we'll respond to you. Pastor Ayo is always available, of course, if he has to respond to you. If you want to probably speak to him directly, just reach out and we will connect you to him. I'm sure you wouldn't mind.
No, not at all.
All right. So, my little concern is on young men.
Okay.
Young men. I've had young men, slide into despondency, probably because they thought they have failed, because they tried one, two, three, and it didn't work. Well, I would say it didn't work as they expected.
Yes.
And because they tried once, twice, or probably thrice, they felt, well, God has failed me. Can God actually fail man? Can God actually fail man? Because I've seen people trust God over time and things are not all right with them. I've read in the scriptures where a son of a prophet who was diligently following this prophet, he died, and the debtors came to take the children. Now, this woman saw this prophet. She held him. She said, look, this is my condition. My husband served you. My husband has been following you, serving God. For her, I think she felt like God has failed her because he gave everything, yet he had to borrow. Yet he couldn't pay until he died. And at this point, her children are about to be taken because the husband who spent his days serving God couldn't pay off the debtors until he died. Now I'm a widow and I'm a poor widow. And with these children gone, I don't know what will happen to me. So, would you say God failed her?
God cannot fail. Let's establish that.
Okay.
Because Genesis 1 made us understand that God can never fail. The earth we are in right now does not have a pillar holding it. And according to science, it revolves and rotates so fast that everything inside the earth is at standstill. We are not falling, we are not trying to stand still.
Yeah.
That's to tell you that the wisdom and the artistry of God is infinite. Now, when it comes to man, there will always be a clause.
Okay.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 from verse 1 started that conversation with saying, if. If is a conditional statement,
Mm-hmm.
meaning if you satisfy the condition, then the result can come.
Okay.
I can be a very religious person, serving God diligently, be spiritual, and I will make heaven and yet be a pauper in the earth. The Bible said, Jesus speaking in John, he said, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth you know shall set you free. One truth does not set free in every area. If you find the truth about prayer, you will be free in terms of prayer. If you find the truth about spirituality, you will build a robust spiritual life. If you find the truth about living holy and righteous, you will be a righteous person. If you never find the truth about prosperity, you will be broke.
Wow.
So, precept upon precept, the Bible says, line upon line. Find the first line, connect the first line to the next line. You keep finding it like that until the day Jesus will call you or he will return himself. So God cannot fail. We are the one who is failing to understand the principles of God. Now, Dr. Mike Murdoch said in one of his books, I can't remember the title, he wrote several books, I can't remember which one now, but he wrote in one of his books, he said that the problem with Christians is this, that we understood or we accept the person of Jesus Christ, but we reject the principles of Jesus Christ. The people in the world accept the principles of Jesus Christ, but reject his person. So I want to add to that. The new generation that God is building are people who know Jesus, accept Jesus, and accept his principles.
Wow.
So if you accept Jesus and his person, salvation is sure, heaven is real. If you reject the principles, you will be broke. You will fail. You will. 80 to 90% of the parables of Jesus Christ have to do with success.
Yeah.
80 to 90% of his parables, parable of the sower, success. In fact, he gave us in the parable of the sower that there are 3 dimensions to success: the 30%, the 60%, and the 100%.
Yeah.
So if you gain 30%, you have tried, but that's not the best.
That's not the best.
If you get 60%, you have tried, but that's not the best.
Not the best.
Even when you get 100%, you have still tried. Don't end at 100. There is still more to conquer. The parable of the talents: 1 failed, 2 passed. Every of his parables, or most of his parables, were success related. To tell you that be spiritual or find the principles to success. Now let me bring us back to the parable of that talent. That guy that was given that one, do you know, by the virtue of relationship, he can still pass. If the one with 5, you have 5, I was given 1. How did you manage 5 and succeed? And I have 1 and I'm failing. That's to tell you there is something wrong with me, not with the talent.
Not with the talent.
Everything we want to do today, somebody has already succeeded in it. Mine is to find, the Bible said, follow those who through faith and patience had obtained the promise. This is the reason why many of us in the Christian don't fail. We criticize people we are supposed to learn from. So God cannot fail. We are the one that did not learn the principles properly. The principles the principles you don't honor, you will never apply. And the principles you don't apply, it can never work for you. So it begins first from honoring you see, even in our seeking God, it's amazing. Psalm 24, he said, who shall ascend to the hills of the Lord, and who shall come before the holy mountain? He that has a clean hand and a pure heart. Spirituality. Who has not lifted up his soul unto vanity nor sworn deceitfully? Spirituality. This is the generation that seek thy face. The original Hebrew rendition said, this is the generation that will seek the face of God in the similitude of Jacob. Jacob had an encounter. So when you are seeking God, the dimension of God you are seeking is already resident in the life of somebody. God will point you back to the person. Go and honor so and so person, because I've already invested it. Anything we are praying for today, somebody works in that reality right now.
True.
So God usually will not bring manna and quail from heaven again. He will point you to the men that has already invested that dimension into. Honor them. So I can be around my destiny helper and still fail because I lack honor.
Wow.
So I want to believe that prophet in the Bible in 2 Kings failed financially because it does not apply the principles of finances. Why are ministries and churches prospering today? They have applied finances to their spirituality. Our fathers, forefathers, in the 90s, 1900s, and the rest of them, most of them were spiritual people, but they didn't have the wherewithal to run their lives.
Yeah.
But now, look at us now. We now have sophisticated gadgets, and God is really helping us. We didn't just have wisdom, we have now the finances to back up the wisdom that we have. You know, I studied in the Bible a little bit, and in the book of Ecclesiastes, King Solomon made mention of a small city and a wise poor man there, and a city with a great king that came and besieged it. And the man, by his wisdom, delivered the small city, but the wisdom of the man was not remembered because he was poor. So, finances has a way of giving us a voice, but until we learn the principle, we remain on the same spot. God does not fail men. It is man that fails to understand the principles of God.
Wonderful. Wow, this is so insightful. And with this, we have come to the end of today's episode. Like I said earlier, if you have questions, you have contributions, please in the comment section. Man of God, what will be your last word as we round up this session?
Well, to everyone, young, old, or you're still growing, the greatest failure ever is giving up on yourself and giving up on God's assignment. Let me end with this popular quote I used to know while I was a teenager. The you in you is the you that makes you the you are. So if you are changing, it's because you have made up your mind to change. If you are growing, it's because you have made up your mind to grow. If you are evolving, it's because you have made up your mind to grow. Nobody can force you into what you are not prepared for. You will have to make up your mind first. So make up your mind to be a success, and then you will be successful. On God's term. We need to clear that straight.
Wonderful. All right, man of God, thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much, sir.
This has been very, very wonderful and insightful. I hope you've learned something. Until we meet again, this is Church Conversations, and I remain Smart Chango. Bye bye for now.